What if I told you Britain just arrested over 700 of its own citizens, not criminals, but farmers, mothers, and pensioners, for simply speaking out? What if I told you the king himself is now furious and warning the prime minister behind closed doors? This isn't fiction. This is happening right now, and the media won't tell you the full story, but we will. It's reassuring to see King Charles III active and engaged. But right now, many people believe this Labour government has gone beyond incompetence. They say it's making things significantly worse. Look at who's running the country: political novices, bureaucrats with no real world grounding, and puppet-like figures with no mandate or vision. Is Britain still a free country, or has it quietly become something else? In just 3 weeks, more than 700 people have been arrested, not for violent crimes, not for conspiracy, but simply for speaking out. Farmers, mothers, veterans, ordinary citizens are being detained for what authorities call non-compliance. And now, behind the walls of Buckingham Palace, King Charles is reportedly furious. According to insiders, he has delivered a warning to Prime Minister Starmer, a warning potent enough to shake the government to its core. But what exactly did the king say? Why are so many people being arrested? And how close is Britain to a breakdown of national cohesion? You are not going to believe what's been unfolding. What was once a government perceived as a stabilizing force is increasingly accused of authoritarian overreach. The spark was a set of enforcement measures introduced under the banner of emergency national stability, and in just 3 weeks, those measures have resulted in over 700 detentions. These are not extremists, not terrorists, not armed insurgents. They are farmers with families, pensioners speaking at town halls, and peaceful voters protesting policies they believe threaten their livelihoods. At the center of the storm is a controversial tax reforms. Farmland inheritance valuations have been drastically increased, forcing grieving families to choose between paying exorbitant tax bills or selling land that's been in the family for generations. What should have been a policy debate turned into national outrage almost overnight. In Kent, a 74-year-old farmer was arrested after physically chaining himself to his barn in protest. In Norfolk, entire villages formed peaceful camps, defending what they called the death of rural life. Starmer didn't go to meet them. Instead, he dispatched riot police, not community liaison officers, but helmeted tactical units equipped with tear gas and shields, with orders to disperse resistance. Videos flooded social media, tractors blocking roads, families crying as elderly relatives were pulled away, volunteers dragged into police vans for merely standing in solidarity. One clip, which went viral across Europe, showed a disabled veteran being handcuffed in his wheelchair while holding a sign that reads, "This is not the Britain I fought for." That video, and many like it, reached Buckingham Palace, and that's where things took a dramatic turn. Sources close to the royal household say King Charles watched footage from protests in Kent, Yorkshire, and Essex during a private briefing, and his reaction was immediate and intense. According to insiders, he slammed his fist on the desk and exclaimed, "This is tyranny in plain sight." A royal aide later told a journalist anonymously, "I've never seen His Majesty this angry. He sees this not merely as political overreach but as a moral collapse." That very night, the king reportedly placed a direct call to Prime Minister Starmer, and it was far from ceremonial, though the precise words have not been released. Reports suggest the king warned that the very fabric of British unity was at risk of tearing apart. "You are testing the patience of the people," the king is said to have said, "and once trust is lost, it cannot easily be regained." This was not royal theatre. It was a warning shot from Britain's symbolic head of state to the man holding real political power: back down or risk collapse. But Starmer did not appear intimidated. Days later, in Glasgow, when asked about the mass arrests and allegations of a royal rebuke, the Prime Minister responded with cold calculation. He dismissed the controversy as theatrics and doubled down. "We will not tolerate disruption disguising itself as protest. Anyone who seeks to divide us will face the full force of the law." That statement ignited public fury. Fear is turning into fury across the nation. Town halls, once filled with civil debate, are now tense arenas. Constituents who question Labour MPs about taxes or energy bills are being removed by security forces mid-sentence. In Essex, a mother was arrested for interrupting a council meeting with a question about heating costs. Her offence, officials said, was obstructing a government representative. In Cornwall, police warned teenagers that criticising government policy in public could be construed as inciting unrest. These incidents aren't isolated. They are symptoms of a systemic shift, a new Britain where speaking out carries real risk. As arrests mount, so does resistance. In London last week, tens of thousands marched silently past Parliament, holding candles and signs declaring, "We are not afraid." In Birmingham, churches and mosques have become not only places of worship but hubs for legal aid and community organising. In Scotland, neighbourhoods hold clandestine meetings to plan petitions and legal challenges to what they now mockingly call the Star Laws. Buckingham Palace, long a symbol of ceremonial tradition, is increasingly seen as a battleground. Advisors to the king are reportedly divided. Some counsel restraint, reminding him of constitutional limits. Others argue that the moment demands moral courage. One insider said bluntly, "If the monarchy stays silent while democracy dies, what is the point of a king?" Rumours now swirl of something almost unimaginable, a public address by King Charles confronting the crisis. Not to wage war on his own government, but to reclaim the moral soul of the nation. The last time a British monarch spoke publicly during a political crisis was in 1936, nearly a century ago. If he speaks now, it will define his reign, and possibly the future of the country. But time is running out. Starmer's grip on power tightens daily. Once cautious moderates in his inner circle now seem surrounded by yes men and legal hardliners. According to a leaked internal memo, Labour leadership believes this is merely a short storm that will pass once the public adjusts to new stability norms. Those words have haunted many who've seen them. If this is indeed the beginning of a new political order, Britain may be facing its most profound identity crisis in modern history. The monarchy, the people, and the press are all being tested. The central question now is simple and terrifying: who still has the power to stop this? As unrest deepens, governance blurs into oppression. What once was democratic debate has become a full-blown crisis of national identity. The Starmer administration refuses to acknowledge the surge in dissent, and that denial only fuels further outrage. Stories of detentions multiply. In Lincolnshire, a small school was raided after a student shared a critical video online. He was held for 9 hours under expanded emergency stability powers, denied counsel, and his parents were later fined for failing to supervise subversive behavior. This is no longer theoretical, it's happening. Meanwhile, legal experts across the UK, from senior barristers to former judges, warn that broadly worded laws like non-compliance with public order and or undermining national stability give the state near unchecked authority. Under these rules, anyone can be targeted without clear charges, held for days, and denied access to legal representation. Britain now stands at a crossroads. The silence from power has become deafening. The fear on the streets unmistakable. For every arrest, 10 voices rise in defiance. For every protest suppressed, another blooms. And yet Starmer insists order must be maintained, even if it means sacrificing the freedoms that define the nation. But what is order without justice? What is unity without the people? King Charles, the symbolic heart of Britain, now faces the defining choice of his reign. Does he remain silent, bound by tradition, or does he act as a moral leader before it's too late? His voice, though limited in legal authority, still carries the moral weight to shape a nation's conscience, and that conscience is bleeding. This is not just about tax or protest anymore. It's about whether Britain will remain a country where freedom of speech, the right to question authority, and the dignity of every citizen are protected, not persecuted. The choice isn't Parliament's alone anymore. It's ours. Do you think King Charles should speak out publicly against Starmer's actions? Should the monarchy remain silent while people suffer? Most importantly, is this still the Britain you believe in? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Britain Now for continuing UK coverage.